welcome to At the Tap End. Here we are again. It's that time of the week where I get to have a wash and also get to chat with amazing people. And I'm really excited about today's guest. It's the first time that I've had a bath with somebody with the same name as me. So, Lee Chambers, welcome to the Tap End today. How the devil are you?
I'm not too bad. Just having a bath, Lee, on a Monday afternoon.
Yeah, apologies to interrupt you washing yourself on a Monday afternoon. But thank you for that. So, what is it you do? In fact, for those very minute, the small numbers of people that don't know who Lee Chambers is, who is it? And how has he got to the tap end today?
Yeah, so Lee Chambers runs a wellbeing business, helping organisations with their strategy and delivery, and also a bit of inclusion on the side. But yeah, as you know, Lee, and as many people do know, been on a bit of a journey, quite outspoken, bit of a disruptor, but most of the time I'm just trying to make an impact, and that comes in many different guises. But for me, life's a journey, been through some ups, plenty of downs, but more than anything, just managing to learn from every time I fall in a pothole, pull myself back out, learn something, and then go and try and apply it in life.
Yeah. Perfect. We were talking just beforehand, and we've not spoke since probably just when you came on the podcast. So I guess the few weeks that have been in between the podcast and you having a wash, anything exciting happened in Lee's world?
I think the biggest thing was actually having a proper break over Christmas. So
yeah.
I'm one of these who, I like to make a difference. That sometimes means I'm off spinning a number of different plates, making stuff happen. But I had a proper break over Christmas, spent some really good quality time with my kids, a few weeks unplugged, and I've come back in the new year and not got at 100 miles an hour, just gradually built things up at a sensible pace and built that momentum. But there's a number of different things going on. We've got new clients onboarding over the next few months. My book is on its way in a few months' time as well. New enterprises, new things that I'm part of. Ultimately, it's just making it happen. And I think that in the world it is today, as we gradually manage to come out of COVID and restrictions, there are a lot of uncertainties around other things that are happening. But more than anything, now's the time to think about what you can control and what difference you can make, and really start trying to do that, thinking about the things that you take from the past 2 years that you've enjoyed, and still making sure you do those alongside the things you can now do as the world opens up. So for me, it's very much a case of, we've had a challenging start to the decade, but it's, for a lot of people, they've learned a lot about themselves during that and how they can navigate adversity and actually do more than they probably believed that they could. So for me, it's been very much a case of helping other people potentially see that where they can, access that post-traumatic growth, and more than anything, just see what they're capable of, because, there's amazing people all over the planet who sometimes just don't know what they can achieve, and just being part of helping people see that, it's a real privilege.
Amazing. So first question that springs to mind, Lee, is you said that after the new year and spending time, you've kind of easing yourself into the year, but you've got so much that you've got going on as well. How do you manage to find, or in fact, the first question is, do you have balance, and how have you managed to create that balance for yourself?
Yeah, so I think for me, Lee, a big part of it is I'm not a particularly massive fan of the word balance. I feel that it just generates this idea that things will always be 50-50. And more than anything, that you actually have to make an effort to put resources on each side and commit to that. So I feel that balance doesn't really allow that flexibility, and creates this expectation that you need to try and keep things 50-50 all the time. I'm a much bigger fan of harmony. So finding a way that the different instruments in your life can come together to create different melodies depending on what you're doing. Sometimes that tempo might be a bit quicker. Sometimes it's a little bit more subtle and a little bit quieter. But for me, it's really looking at the different elements of my life and seeing that sometimes I do need to apply myself more effort, more energy, more intensity, and more presence in certain areas. And for me, I'm a very proud father of two. I spend a lot of time with my children. A lot of that time is non-negotiable. But there are times as well when I need to do, an evening speaking gig as part of my business. There are times when I might need to travel to London. There are always going to be times where, ultimately the balance shifts a little bit and the harmony changes, and suddenly I'm playing a different symphony. But I know that all those tunes, they're always going to be something that I can dance to. And sometimes that's dancing with my children in the front room playing Just Dance. And sometimes that's dancing in my office because we've just secured a new piece of work. But yeah, I enjoy the reality that more than ever, you need to really look at the differing priorities in your life and realize that you can be flexible with those. Like, people have been incredibly flexible over the past 2 years with, hybrid working and acclimatizing to all the changes, because more than anything, you actually can define that. And I'm in the privileged position of running my own business, so I have more flexibility. I mean, that can be, a privilege that you have the choice, but it can also be quite the burden if you don't decide to take hold of that ownership of your time, because it's not really necessarily timely. It's where you put your attention and your energy, and that's how I've always seen it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the differentiation between harmony and balance as well, and the different songs that you're creating. Just before I ask you the next question, Eduardo is an Argentinian living in Brazil. He's dialed in to watch two northern fellas in the bath today. So hello there, Eduardo. You just never, and I only thought it was my mum that watched these things just to make sure I'm still bathing once a week, but obviously not. So Lee, harmony, dancing to music. What music do you prefer to dance to?
Oh,
and you can answer that however you wish to answer it.
Yeah. Now, here's the beauty, Lee. Now, I'm a omni-passionate person. I'm not the type of person who's just like, right, this one thing, I'm going to shout about that all the time because I'm passionate about it. Like, I shout about a lot of different things. I shout about effective well-being. I shout about gender equity. I shout about racial inclusion. I chat about disability awareness. I chat about, fatherhood and engaged fathers. There's a hell of a lot of things that I talk about. And you know what? It's like having an eclectic taste in music. I don't just have this one marketing message, refined 60-second pitch. I do a lot of things, and I'm passionate about a lot of things, and that's reflective in my taste in music, where one day you will find me dancing to a bit of EDM, just completely trancing out and just there in the moment. There'll be other times when I'm wagging my fingers to a bit of classic, because that's what I feel like. I feel like slowing that tempo down, appreciating the instruments, looking at the composition and seeing the artistry in the music. Then, I'll feel a bit reflective and I'll go and listen to some 90s R&B from when I was a little kid and take myself back to those days of less responsibility and just hanging about, learning the world around me. And then I'll tap into, maybe some muse and something that's a bit anti-establishment and really kind of ticks those boxes of me knowing that I'm going out there making an impact, shaking the status quo. Because the truth is, Lee, music has a lot of meaning behind it. And when you actually look at, rather than thinking, what do I like, but why do I like it? You see the meaning behind the music and the threads that connects to in your life. And all of a sudden, you don't just become this one-dimensional music fan. You actually appreciate lots of different types of music for what it is. And that taps back into that different harmonies of life, where I'm appreciating the different types of music I'm playing when I'm doing different things. And you know what? We live in this world of isolation and individualism where it's all about your one tune. Actually, what happens if you come together and create an orchestra of people and play differently and learn different things and move at a different rhythm and learn to dance, not just your own dance, but as a collective? And, that's a lot of the work that I do around bringing people together, around social impact, because you can't do it on your own. Dancing on a dance floor on your own can feel incredibly daunting. Yet, if you just take that step to dance, other people will join too. And gradually, there's something about, dancing musically. It's contagious. Just like kindness, there's few things in life that are contagiously positive. So when you think about what music you like, just turn it up, appreciate it. Don't shut yourself off to the other sounds, because music is one type of noise that you can cut through in the most beautiful way.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. And so this harmony, this music is kind of the theme of the conversation, really, because when you spoke about impact before, and you then said that all of the things that you're passionate about speaking about, you're trying to make a big impact to a lot of different people. But if you read any traditional marketing book and any traditional business book, they encourage you to go inch wide, mile deep on something in particular. But you're trying to speak to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. How have you managed to be successful doing that? And do you believe you are successful in doing that?
So yeah, I mean, it's such a big thing. From a marketing perspective, you are encouraged to have your very clear client avatar, be totally and astutely aware of where does that person hang out, what language do they use, what problems have they got, how can you tap into those to create a solution. And you know what, in the reality, Lee, that's how things are advertised, but people are multifaceted. People are not a two-dimensional avatar. People have more than one challenge, and people have those different parts of harmony in their life. That means that they're actually not just a flat marketing statement, but actually three-dimensional human beings. And what's interesting is a lot of my work is around story. It's around sharing my previous experiences and unpicking them apart. It's about vulnerability, looking at some of the things that I've done that have not been particularly great and being honest about them. And what that does is it connects with people on a relational level rather than trying to transact on the problems that they have. What that's allowed me to do is actually build a more diverse audience, which is important when I'm, in the space looking at inclusivity and understanding the different intersections of privilege that people sit at. So what's really important for me is to not be one-dimensional. Now, when you say, are you successful? Well, it's one of those. From a marketing perspective, I'm not as horned and sharp an arrow into the one single target as I would be if I followed that methodology. But what I do have is the ability to shoot a number of different targets and hit pretty effectively. And what that means is I'm able to pivot around, I'm able to move with the times, I'm able to evolve. And if a target comes a bit closer or moves a bit further away, I can adapt pretty quickly to be able to change my offering, change what I do, not from a perspective of changing the values and beliefs that I stand for, because they do evolve as I learn more and more about myself, the world around me, and the people I'm connected to. But more agility to not be just straight down one channel where you become exposed as the world changes and your whole personal brand sits on one pillar, which if you fall off, all of a sudden people they don't know you exist anymore. No one's going to come and pick you up and dust you off because all of a sudden you've dropped off your own pedestal. So for me, success is actually about having a number of places to move to, having the ability to speak to different groups of people and understand them. And ultimately, the one thing that I do have is being a kind, compassionate, and empathetic human being across all areas of what I do. And funnily enough, just being a good human and not being an idiot will, generally speaking, compel people towards you, and you'll be able to help them without actually shouting about helping them in the first place.
Yeah, love that. Love that. It is all about relationships, connection, and like I say, being an amazing human to the best of your abilities. So when you talk about making an impact, where do you believe that you make the biggest impact with Essentialise, and what is Essentialise?
Yeah, so Essentialise is a workplace wellbeing strategy and delivery company. And a lot of the work that we do is helping SMEs to know what they need to do from a wellbeing perspective, what potential options they do have, where they can find effective wellbeing to be brung in, how to do it in a strategic, sustainable way.
Oh, he's gone. I think he must be accepting a phone call. I think. Oh, are you back, Lee? Were you accepting a phone call then? Is that what was happening? Yeah, perfect.
Because
it's
it's such an interesting industry. And more than anything, the real challenges with it are because it's trendy, it's easy to do it without actually looking at the strategy behind it. So we help companies to really see how they can do it in a way that's going to benefit them as a business and benefit their employees too. And as we kind of expanded that, well-being sits very close to inclusion. And it also sits close to sustainability. And those three social value, social impact aspects are becoming really increasingly important for tenders, increasingly important for attracting talent, and increasingly important for the next generation who are looking at these things as, this is what I want from a purposeful business. I want to work somewhere that appreciates these three areas and is moving and innovative in these three areas. So I help businesses to really get clear on that, really start to deliver quality, sustainable work. And what that does from my perspective is it helps the business to become more competitive. It helps them to improve the KPIs, to improve the ability to attract and retain talent. And for the employees, it helps them to feel more confident in applying health behaviours. It helps them to feel that they're listened to and they're valued. And it helps them to be able to look at well-being as not something that's, yeah, for those people who like yoga on a Friday, but actually something that's relative to them, something that they can attach to, and they can find a well-being that works for them. And I feel that's increasingly important in an increasingly, diverse world, that everyone feels included, and well-being isn't this exclusive, consuming personal goal. Because so often, as we've seen over the past 2 years, well-being is partly personal, but it's also related to the social aspects, financial aspects, and aspects around the environment, and more than anything, the work that we do and the purposefulness of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. One of the challenges that we have with businesses is, so we do work with businesses to improve what they do from an operational perspective and a leadership perspective primarily. And the biggest challenge is to make it part of their business.
Lee, I've lost your sound.
Oh, have you got me now? Have you got me now?
Yeah, I can't hear you on my device.
Oh, dear me. Have you got me now? No, you've still not got me?
No.
Oh, dear me. Dear me. So I'll just keep talking for 1 minute and let's see what happens. So ultimately, one of the challenges that we have with businesses is primarily to work with and get people to see that it's part of business as usual activity, as opposed to an add-on for the activity. So yeah, that was just a little bit of one of our challenges. So Lee, are you there? Can you hear us? No, you're not there. Let me see if I can. Are you there now, Lee? You're not there now, Lee. He's not there, is he? He's not there. He's there in body. He's there in the water, and he might not be there in person. Let me send you a little message, Lee. Let's see whether you're there. So, can you hear me? This is what happens with going live, isn't it? So,
no, unfortunately, I can't, Lee.
Oh,
I've lost sound on my end.
No problem. No problem. 1 minute. Let me just. No worries.
I'm being in a real bath.
Hear you. So I'm gonna ask Lee a question just by the medium of words. If you can sum up your book and who it helps, how would you? There you go. That's a little question for Lee. Let's see whether I can hear him.
Yeah, so the book is The Millennial's Guide to Wellness, and it's very much looking at the millennial experience, those who had the analog childhood, who've come into a digital adolescence, who've come out into a world where the childhood, a lot of it was about growth, technology was getting better, GDP were increasing, asset values were increasing, there was political stability, and then they came out into the workplace and the recession hit, and then austerity hit, and then, the world has been kind of suppressed over the past 10 years. And a lot of the contractual promises of, go to university, go and build a good career, hit your milestones, get married, have kids, buy a house, have not always been available. And that has presented a certain set of well-being challenges for that particular generation as they now start to approach 40 and maybe have not hit some of those milestones. But the real focus of the book is around looking at well-being through that lens. It's increasingly becoming something that's topical. And in that generation, there's a lot of understanding around, the challenges that health presents, whether it be mental, emotional, financial, all the way through to spiritual, physical health, and looking at, how health is impacted by things such as inclusion, by things such as the way in the world of work. And a big part of it is actually looking at the difference between genders and cultures. My co-author is American, I'm British, so we've got two different lenses. She's female and I'm male, so again, we've got two different lenses. And we're able to kind of cross-section those differences between two Western cultures and two different genders, and really look at how well-being needs to become more inclusive rather than exclusive, how it needs to move away from being consumption-based and all about you, and how it needs to start to move towards, you know, really a book that challenges some of your perspectives rather than telling you prescriptively what you need to do. It really gets you to dig in and explore, what does well-being mean to you? How can you apply it in your own life? How does it relate to you, your relationships, your work, your profession, you know, the way you parent, the way you navigate the world, the way you care for other people? And the beauty of the book is it presents challenges, allowing you to go and look at specific areas rather than being a book you read from cover to cover and then put back on the shelf to get dusty.
Perfect. No, amazing. And when is that out? So I've just typed that message. So let's see when is the book out, Lee?
Yeah, I'm still looking for sound, Lee. Might need to. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. So only a few minutes to
go. So it looks like it's going to be out in June this year. There's been a publishing delay, which sometimes happens, but more than anything, it's something that, you know, I'm very much looking forward to being released. And yeah, it will definitely be out within this calendar year. And it's been, you know, quite some time in the writing.
Yeah, perfect. No, I'm looking forward to that myself.
So,
this is
I must admit, my water's getting pretty cold as well. You know, because I've actually got a full-on proper bath here with Himalayan salts and everything. I'm absolutely loving it. But yeah, the best places to go to find me are firstly from my website, which is leechambers.org. And from there, you can see my blog, fruits of my business, and all my social media. But I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. And that's the platform where I choose to express my views, where I share my journey, where I help people understand a little bit more about why I do what I do, the things that I actually do, and the impact that it makes. So if you'd like to join me there, I'd be more than happy for you to interact and find out a bit more about what you do as well.
Alex, I just want to say thank you so much, Lee. You can't hear me, but I've just typed that in the messages. And I would just like to say apologies for the sound. It just shows that having two fellas in a bath with some technology, it is a little bit of a challenge. So let me just say, I'm going to say bye to him now. Bye, Lee. So I'm just going to, we will chat soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a strange little makeup. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Lee, for chatting to me today. My bath is going a little bit cold, but have an amazing rest of your day, week, and we will chat again in the bath very soon.